On Monday, December 30th, 2024, shortly after 4 p.m., Lawrence Police Department officers initiated a traffic stop on a vehicle at the 6900 block of Pendleton Pike. During that stop, a female occupant exited the vehicle, leaving just the suspect in the vehicle. The female who exited the vehicle remained on scene and did not get back inside of the vehicle. The vehicle, driven by an adult male suspect, then fled from officers, and a pursuit ensued. IMPD officers responded to assist. During the pursuit, shots were fired from the suspect vehicle in the direction of pursuing Lawrence officers. The suspect vehicle came to a stop at the 6500 block of East 30th Street, at which time an officer-involved shooting occurred. 2 Lawrence police officers and 1 IMPD officer fired their service weapon during this incident. Officers gave multiple loud verbal commands to the suspect to show his hands and put his hands up. Officers continued to give commands for the suspect to step out of the vehicle with hands in the air. This went on for several minutes with no response from inside of the vehicle. IMPD SWAT officers in armored vehicles responded to the scene so that the officers could safely approach the suspect vehicle without exposing themselves to further gunfire. A drone was used during the incident to safely get a live video of the inside of the vehicle. Officers then approached the vehicle and observed that the suspect was unresponsive. The suspect was taken into custody without further incident. Indianapolis emergency medical service personnel who were already staged nearby unfortunately pronounced the suspect deceased. A firearm was located on the scene near the suspect. A photo will be sent out to any brief that was sent out. The female who exited the vehicle during the initial traffic stop was unharmed and is cooperating with the investigation. No officers or other uninvolved citizens were injured during this incident. Multiple community members' vehicles were struck by gunfire during this incident. If anyone in the area had a vehicle struck by gunfire relating to this incident, please call 911. Multiple IMPD officers and Lawrence Police Department officers were equipped with body-worn cameras and dash cameras, which were activated during the entirety of this incident. The Indianapolis-Marion County Forensic Services Agency responded to identify and collect potential evidence. The Marion County Prosecutor's Office responded to assist with the investigation. The Marion County Coroner's Office will be assisting and will determine the exact manner and cause of death. The Marion County Coroner's Office will release the decedent's name once the proper next of kin have been notified. There's no ongoing threat to this community and no suspect outstanding. The IMPD Critical Incident Response Team responded to the scene and is conducting the criminal investigation. Separate administrative investigations are being conducted by IMPD Internal Affairs and Lawrence Police Department Internal Affairs. The IMPD officer and the Lawrence Police officer who fired their guns have been placed on administrative leave as is standard protocol for both departments for an officer involved in shooting. The Civilian Majority Use of Force Review Board will conduct a mandatory hearing for any IMPD attempt use of deadly force against a person. This occurs after the conclusion of the criminal process. The Police Officer Support Team and Post Team responded to provide peer support for our officers. The IMPD Chaplain's Office responded to assist with those involved. The IMPD Victim Assistance Units responded to assist with officers and detectives. Anyone with information is asked to call Detective Sergeant Michael Duke at the Homicide Office by calling 317-327-3475. Alternatively, anyone with information can call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 317-262-TIPS. I will now turn it over to Chief Bisbee with Lawrence Police Department.
I don't have anything additional to add what Chief Wally was saying. It's unfortunate that our officers are engaged in this once again, in which the suspect or suspects in different situations could have complied with the police officer's direction, with a person's life being lost tonight. Once again, I'm happy that our officers are safe from this incident and that our community is safe. There's no other outstanding suspects that were involved in this incident itself. Does anybody have any questions for me?
What was the stop for in Lawrence initially?
The initial stop was for a standard license plate issue that was wrong with the vehicle, and then it led on, from this.
Do we know why he ran? And
Right now, I'm still under investigation. We're still trying to figure that information out right now, but right now we don't have anything else to add from that initial traffic stop.
The woman in the car, what was her reaction? I mean, was she freaking out? What was going on with her?
Right now, the woman that was in the vehicle, she's still, she's cooperating with law enforcement. We're still trying to get additional information to try to see what all took place right prior to that, as we look into that a little bit further. But right now, there's no additional information coming from her at this time.
One more question for Chief Bixby.
Is there anything you'd want to share with the community that a simple traffic stop escalates into something like this that you want people to know about, their relationship with law enforcement?
Right, yes. So, whenever you're stopped by a law enforcement officer, that's for a traffic stop for something of a minor infraction at that moment. So we only ask that the community, comply with the officer's direction, especially when we're having, just a regular traffic stop. So that's the best thing you can do is comply with those directions and then just pull over like any other normal traffic stop.
Thank you, Chief. Life is precious, and anytime we lose a life in our community, it's not something any of us want. And I've said that repeatedly, and I mean it. And no officer, whether they're with IMPD or with Lawrence, wakes up in the morning and wants to engage in this kind of situation, especially having to live with the fact that you had to use force to protect our community, to defend yourself, and that resulted in someone losing their life. It's just not something that anybody wants or looks forward to. This is yet another example. I think I've said that multiple times here recently about attacks on the officers and violence coming to them as a result of things that they don't have to go that direction. So I am thankful that the Lawrence officer who initiated this pursuit, doing his job, didn't get hit by gunfire. But once you see this body-worn camera video and dash cam video, you'll see the number of innocent people driving on their normal commute, whether to school or church or wherever, in that firing area as someone recklessly fires their weapon. And so I'm thankful that nobody in our community was hurt, despite some property damage that can be fixed and replaced. Human lives cannot.
Was he shooting outside of his window as they were driving down 30th?
From the body-worn camera, and as I said, I haven't examined it or looked at it in slow motion. You hear radio traffic, or the Lawrence officer obviously knows or feels like he's being shot at, and it appears, at least through right now preliminarily, through the back window somehow.
Chief, what would your message be to the community as far as just the unnecessary nature of this? As you kind of alluded to, this could have been a lot worse. We could have had an officer hurt, we could have had an innocent bystander hurt, and ultimately what Chief Bixby just alluded to was the fact of the matter that it was a simple traffic stop, and all of this could have been avoided.
Yeah, officers willingly put themselves between us and bad things and bad people, and so that's a risk that we all raised our hand and swore that we would be willing to take. But people driving to and from the grocery store, bringing their kids home from daycare or wherever they're going, did not sign up for that. They don't deserve to have that happen in their neighborhoods and through their public streets. And so I'm thankful that no one was hurt. And I'm also thankful that there are women and men that stand up and say, "Send me," and I'm thankful for that.
One last question for Chief Bailey.
Was it here between the man and the woman?
I don't know that. We haven't even identified the deceased suspect at this point.
Do we believe that he fired his weapon here as well, or just while they were driving?
That's still to be determined. We know that at least the Lawrence officer, through radio traffic, felt like he was being shot at, right? So there's still statements that have to be made from the officers at some point, either administratively or through the criminal investigation, that hopefully will shed more light on it, because it's one. I haven't had an opportunity to speak to our officer. I won't speak for Lawrence police officers, but this is my understanding is that the officer's pretty shaken up by this incident. It's a young officer, new in his career, not the first time that he's been at least in the area of a critical incident that this way, and so we're going to make sure that we provide the resources necessary to keep this officer whole for his family and himself first and foremost, but so he has the ability to serve our community for the days and years and weeks ahead.
This was the 17th police shooting this year. Are you concerned about that?
I'm concerned when people attack our officers and when people attack our community. Our officers are responding to violence. I don't want it to happen. I've said that multiple times here. Obviously, we don't want these to happen. But I'm not sure what else we're supposed to do when our officers are attacked by guns, by knives, by machetes. That they have a right to go home to their families at the end of the night. They have an obligation to protect the community, and if there's something that our officers, speaking for IMPD, need to be held accountable for, you'll hear me talk about that. I'm not shied away from that, and I won't. When they do it right, you're going to see me stand here and tell the community they did it exactly as you want them to do, and as they're trained to do, and as we expect them to do, and as their oath requires them to do. Thank you.
Thanks.